feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball advantage. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Tuesday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes not just cases, MotleyRice.com. Driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at StokesVW.com, and you can find us on the JB and Goldwater app, and also at JB and Goldwater Show at the JB and Goldwater Show. .com. The Share Healthcare chat lines, they are open. Craig, Clint, Adam, they're all in it already, and you should be as well. ShareHealthcare.com for more affordable, user-friendly options for your healthcare. If you don't have any, you probably need some, and you can head to ShareHealthcare.com to find out more about that, how affordable it is. Less than $150 a month for some people. How about that? ShareHealthcare.com. Coming up today on our program, Keith Allsep and Mike Morgan are our guests. Keith will join us at 12:30, Mike at 1:30 with ESPN, the SEC network, and pretty much everything in between. He's got another busy week, so we'll talk to him about that. We'll also talk to him about the college football playoff rankings release number 3, which is coming tonight. Some of the open jobs out there. One of them is now at Virginia Tech, and we're going to talk about that here shortly as well. And, Darren, there's oftentimes when you have all of these open jobs in college athletics, especially college football. Everybody, the national publications led by them, they like to rank the jobs, right? Like, what is the best job? But it's not really, it's for conversation, because, my rankings and your rankings are probably going to be a little bit different from Dennis Dodd's rankings, and our rankings don't really matter. It really matters how the coaches themselves rank them.
I say that all the time, right? Mm-hmm. About coaching openings. It's about, at the end of the day, what does said person want? Does James Franklin want to be at Penn State, or does he want a different challenge? Does Shane Beamer want to be at South Carolina, as he has made so perfectly clear, or does he want to go to Virginia Tech? I don't know. Only Shane Beamer knows. It's true for every coach in every opening. You can rank them all you want, and you can have different lists and facilities and odds of winning. Go for it. At the end of the day, it's, in my mind, coach, where do I want to go? Where do I think I can succeed?
Exactly. And for what reasons? That's a lot of coaches think that they can go to a school and succeed, but the point of them going to that school to succeed is to go there, do it, get out of there, and go somewhere else. And then some of them, the point is to go there and stick around for a long time, right? So, yeah, I totally agree with you, and you're right. You've said that a bunch, and it's an important part of the conversation. Obviously, the Virginia Tech position is now open, and there's a bunch of conversation, chitter-chatter on the internet about whether Shane Beamer would want the job or should want the job or whatever. He's going to speak today with the media, as he does on Tuesdays during the season. We will monitor those comments, and we will give you anything of substance while he is speaking in Columbia. It's almost certain he'll be asked about the opening. But knowing Shane Beamer, he'll probably address this before he's even asked the question. So we'll kind of see what comes of it. We're going to get into all that, though, here in just a little bit. But, tonight is a big night, and it starts a big week for hoops in Charleston. The College of Charleston welcomes North Carolina to town. It's on the CBS Sports Network, Darren, and this game's going to tip off at 8:30 at TD Arena. It's a late tip, but good thing because it'll be rowdy and rocking and ready to roll. It is a sold-out crowd downtown. I'm really looking forward to watching this tonight. Darren, I think the College of Charleston has a real chance to pull an upset here. I think North Carolina's pretty good, but I think they're going to walk into a pretty happening place tonight, and the Cougars have some good players, and Pat Kelsey's got them playing well early on, which is certainly important. If I'm North Carolina, watch out. I really, really, truly believe this is going to be a battle down there at TD Arena.
It has all the makings for it with how the college opened up in the first 3 games, particularly the first 2 games. I'm not sure. I didn't see any of them personally, but just the way, just in reading it in the box scores, the first 2 games were more crisp than that third, played on the 3rd consecutive day anyway. But it's a tough opening road game for UNC and Hubert Davis. When this game was scheduled, when Hubert took the job, not sure. I think he had the job before Kelsey was hired. I believe so.
Yeah.
But either way, you didn't really know what this Cougar team would look like. And like Gene Sapikoff said yesterday, you have an idea, but they're a really tough scout the way that they're playing right now. So if the College of Charleston can feed off of the energy in that building and get off to a good start, then yeah, I think they're going to be in it to the end. If it kind of goes the other way and it's a team that kind of gets a little past themselves a little bit in that environment, then the Tar Heels at that point, if they can come out and kind of neutralize the college early, then I think they probably go ahead and cruise. But if they're in it early, I think they'll be in it the whole way.
Yeah, I did too. I think I think they'll be in it early. I'm telling you, I really believe in the College tonight. I don't know if they'll pull it off or not, but they're going to be in it. This is this is a picture of this. Cougars pull an upset. Pat Kelsey's name, it starts popping quickly across the country. A guy who went from Winthrop and did a hell of a job to the College of Charleston in only 4 games. Everybody's so quick to judgment. They could lose their next 5. But this would pop quickly for Pat Kelsey.
He was popping anyway. That's why I was surprised he took the job in the first place, because he was popping for other jobs, bigger jobs. And then comfort thing. This goes very well hand in hand with the football opening discussion. What do you want? What does the coach want? What do you feel comfortable as your next step? Is it a next step? Is it a step towards something bigger? This can be true for football openings as well. Or is this, I want to be at the College of Charleston long term? I don't know. Only he knows that. He's got an awesome personality. I do know that. He's got the team bought in. I know that. But it fits right in line because his name has been hot. And if he can continue to do well early, first year with the new program, yeah, it'll still be hot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'd be a hell of a start to the Pat Kelsey era at 4-0 if they can get it done tonight. By the way, next Monday, they're in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. So a couple of toughies back-to-back for the Cougars. Last night, Clemson beat Bryant 93-70. And the Citadel, after a great start to the season, went up to Clinton and lost 74-70 against Presbyterian. So congratulations to the Blue Hose. Next one up for the Dogs Thursday night home at McAllister Fieldhouse against Carver College. And then, hey, Duke. The Charleston teams have scheduling some toughies this year, including Duke and North Carolina. Last night, if you happen to miss it in the NFL, the 49ers were spectacular. And so was Deebo Samuel. 2 touchdowns last night. He had 5 carries for I can't remember what it was, 40 yards, 45 yards, something like that. 5 catches for about 100 yards. A couple of touchdowns. He continues to be the second leading receiver in the NFL. That one pass that they threw to him that he took to the house, man, I'm telling you, he is fun to watch. He just scooted out of there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, speed to burn. Michael Flint says this all the time. It's so hard to believe, boys and girls, that it was only 3 short years ago in Columbia. There was a guy named Deebo Samuel, a guy named Brian Edwards, and a guy named Hayden Hurst, all on the same offense. And the running back was Rico Dowdle, who, last I checked, is still playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Tyson on that team. Guess where he is? NFL. It's a shame that at that point in time, Carolina's offense couldn't score more than they did. But all three of those guys are doing really well. And right now, Devo's doing the best. 31-10, the final last night. Niners now 4-5. That was, we know what was interesting about that? It was their first win of the year at home. Can you believe that? Their first win of the season at home.
The NFL's weird. It's just, I thought this week, the early games, particularly that New England game, I thought it was going to get back to leveling off. Kind of, if you think you know something, you might be onto something. But no, not at all. Betting the NFL right now, or even trying to just prognosticate the NFL, it's just you just don't know. It's such a the guys are so good up there. I mean, yeah. I really think this is why this is the case. The talent in the NFL is so absurdly good and so absurdly spread out. It strictly is a week-to-week matchup type thing and schematic type thing because, like we've talked about on this show many times, you have time in the NFL and pros to change things on a week-to-week basis, to not completely, but to take away certain parts of your game plan. It's more about the matchups up there because – yeah, on any given day, any one of those teams is talented enough to beat any one of those teams.
Absolutely. I mean, and as we point out all the time, and kind of these conversations have to do with South Carolina's offense often, but that's what they do. They spend all day on football, and that's what it's been a strange year. There were some large margins this past weekend in the NFL. Some strange lines, and it's probably as the season goes on only going to get more interesting, Darren. But Deebo Samuel doing his thing. Niners win last night. There is football tonight, by the way. It's this is where we are. Remember, this time of the season, we get the action guys in the middle of the week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 straight days of football again tonight. Holy Toledo, the Rockets there at Ohio at 7:00 on ESPN Plus. Western Michigan's at Eastern Michigan at 7:30. Bowling Green is at Miami of Ohio at 8. All right, into the Fuente stuff with Shane Beamer. I know that's what everybody's waiting on. Let's get to the Share Healthcare chat lines here and find out what everybody's having to say. Happy Tuesday to you as well, Clint. Hope everything is good your way. Adam, spoiler alert, Beamer isn't going to Virginia Tech. Adam, also, JB, thoughts on the Manny Pena signing? Signing. We'll get to all that here in just a little bit. And what else did I miss? Is that it? Oh, RB, does or could Shane even use Virginia Tech as a bargaining chip for a raise or an extension here at South Carolina? So look, again, Shane's more than likely going to address this today right off the top when he gets to the podium. And then I'm sure in some way, shape, or form after that, one of our trusted friends in the Gamecock media will ask him about the opening. I'm sure there is a part of Shane Beamer that has some type of interest in that job. But what is the interest? Like, I'm interested in who gets the job. I'm interested in the job myself. I'm interested in... there's a lot of interest. He's always going to have a big place in his heart for Virginia Tech. I personally don't think that Shane Beamer has any interest in leaving the University of South Carolina for that job or any other job for that matter. And I don't know that Virginia Tech is all that interested in Shane Beamer either. I'm speculating here. This is nothing on information. I have literally done nothing this morning to check into this with sources that I have. Okay, this is just. Darren, I'm literally trying to use logic here, all right? And let me tell you where logic takes me. Logic takes me down one road and one road only. My dad was the head coach there for a long, long time, and I really don't want to go be compared to him. Honestly, that's where it takes me. If Steve Jr. was good enough, would Florida go out there and hire Steve Jr. to coach at Florida? No chance. But, it's not fair to the coach. It's not fair to the program. It's just not fair. And I don't think first of all, I think Shane Beamer truly wants to be at South Carolina. But you're going to go up there and every move you make be compared to what your daddy did. Nobody wants that. And I don't see this happening. I think it's going to be a moot point, and I think this conversation is going to end quickly.
I don't know what he wants. He has said very publicly for I don't know how many months, about how much he loves South Carolina, about when he was at other jobs. His kids would ask him how the Gamecocks did right after whatever game they just played. So the whole Shane Beamer story for South Carolina to this point has been, this is a guy who wants to be here as much as we, the fans, want to be here, want him to be here. He has as much passion as we, the fans, had. So what we know about Shane Beamer so far is that he's been very, very honest about most things that he's been saying. So I have no reason to think that he would want the job, but I also don't have any reason to think that he wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's in his head. If it's in his head that, oh man, how cool would it be to follow in my dad's footsteps? How cool would it be to, be the guy after the guy and then get the program back to where it was under my dad? I don't know if that's something that appeals to him or not. I think it's interesting, though, too. This onion's got layers because national media started throwing his name out immediately. I heard it on Packer and Durham at, 8 o'clock, whatever, this morning. I believe it was Adam Rittenberg, the ESPN NFL or college football writer who was on with them, I believe. And Beamer was one of the names he mentioned. It's interesting to me because inside the fan base is hard to gauge how you think Shane Beamer is done in year one. Outside, Mike Morgan has said this. Gene Sapikoff has said this. I've basically been pretty consistent in this as well. It's about where everyone thought. Outside, the perception of how Beamer has done year one is a lot better than inside. The fact that his name is being mentioned, I don't know if that should soothe Gamecock fans, if that gives you an idea that maybe he is doing well, maybe better than some thought he would right off the rip. But it's an interesting, extra context to the story.
Well, I think you're onto something, believe it or not, and I think there's a lot of people that don't want to believe it. But the truth is, 2 years ago, South Carolina under Will Muschamp in his fourth season, they were 4-8, and then last year they were 2-8. This year, Darren, they're 5-5 with a couple of games to play. And I think that there's a lot of people across the country that actually look at the job that Shane Beamer has done, and they think that it's already been a success just based on record alone. Now, if you ask me or some others, I would say it has been a success to a certain point, but there are certain things that obviously could be better. At the same time, some of that stuff, I don't know that there's a whole lot he can really do about it the more I find out until after the season. So, I think you're on to something there, Darren, in trying to be a voice from the outside looking in as opposed to fans thinking about it just because they've watched every move he's made for the last 10 plus months or so here at the University of South Carolina. I'm going on gut and feel alone and just trying to use some, I think, sane logic. I don't know why he would want to go be compared to his daddy. I just don't see that. I think that that's a major mistake in anybody's career, because you can't get out from underneath that umbrella unless you do better than them. And if you don't do better, and this isn't the Frank Beamer era, you don't get 6 and 7 years figured out. You get a few maybe. And now that you have the transfer portal, you're probably getting less. So, and you pair that, like you said, with everything that Shane has said publicly and privately.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Shane Beamer wants to be at South Carolina. Now, how could this affect the Gamecocks? Well, they're in on a bunch of recruits with Virginia Tech. So I think that's one way. The other way, which we don't know how this would go, is whoever they hire, do they have any interest in some of the staff members in Columbia? And does South Carolina have any interest in staff members at Virginia Tech? If there are changes made, things like that. This is a job, Darren. When you look at all the other ones that are open across the country, this is the one that in some way, shape, or form could have the most impact on our state. Not just South Carolina, our state. Coastal Carolina, Clemson. I mean, why is Jamie Chadwell not a fit for Virginia Tech? Anybody?
His name has been brought up by every interview I've seen to this point today already.
I know.
Yeah.
I was being facetious about that. Like, everybody's talking about Shane Beamer. Well, why isn't Jamie Chad? I mean, wait a second here. You know what I'm saying? So
I think the Beamer talk is getting brought up. It's part of the conversation. But David put a list in our Share Healthcare chat room here, and he's right. The importance aren't the exact names on the list. Look how long the list is. There are a ton of candidates that are being tossed around immediately for this job, and there are 5 jobs open. 1 job has already been filled. Wait, 6 jobs, I'm sorry, are open. 1 has already been filled. That's not on this graphic. That's Texas Tech. That's already been filled. That's only at the Power 5 level. So there are going to be a lot of names that get tossed around in this. The Gamecock side of things gravitates and grasps onto the, oh my God, Shane Beamer is in this conversation. And I get that. He's your first-year head coach. He's not even through his full season yet, which is going to make his comments today interesting. I agree with you, by the way. I think he's going to put it to bed quickly. But
he will.
The Chadwell thing, to me, that's got legs. He's not staying at Coastal Carolina forever. That's a general part of the country, town that he's familiar with and almost from. I mean, he's from the East Tennessee area. He's not far from there. It makes a lot of sense right there to me, Chadwell. Dave Clawson's name at Wake is getting tossed around a bit too.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's if I'm Dave Clawson, I don't know that that's a move I make if I'm Dave Clawson. I mean, he's in St. Lee. Look what he's doing right now. I you know what I mean? I don't know that that's the list that David has thrown up here, which he's right. I've seen all these names this morning. If you're watching our program, you see it. David has commented in the Share Healthcare chat lines. If you're listening to our program, like many of you are, Bill O'Brien, Billy Napier, Jamie Chadwell, Bill Clark is the head coach at UAB, Tony Elliott, Hugh Freeze. You know, I don't see any reason why at this point in time Hugh Freeze shouldn't be in the middle of this, unless Virginia Tech has kind of a hard line on it like South Carolina did with Hugh Freeze. Like, we just can't get over your past. I'm sorry. Tony Elliott is being thrown around for every job out there, basically. The question I have with that, because his name continues to pop up, Darren, is that true, or is that Tony Elliott's agent throwing his name out there? Don't have that answer. It's a logical question, though.
Same thing the last couple of years, right? I mean, his name has been coming up, and there's finally a little bit of friction there too. So is Dabo behind the scenes saying, hey, may want to look? I have no idea. Dabo publicly is saying, I completely 1,000% back him. But you don't know if that's happening behind the scenes. You don't know if Elliott genuinely wants that right now, if that's the right time. Grace Rayner said it many times that she thinks he wants a head job. It's just a timing thing. So is it the right time now? And is that or another one of these jobs potential for Tony Elliott?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, the question with Virginia Tech is the first question is how easy is it to get it turned around? Okay, I think that's probably the question that needs to be asked first and foremost for coaches these days, because raises and extensions are thrown in like candy left and right. I mean, there's so much that you can plug into these contracts now to get your money where you want it to go. But because the landscape of the sport is changing, right? Where, I mean, Darren, if you or I are hired to run a college football program today, and they ask you how quickly you think you can get this thing turned around, and you say, it's probably, you know, like normal, it's going to be 5 or 6 years, they're going to go get out, because there's too many. You have too much at your disposal now. Like there's a transfer portal with no strings attached. You look in it, and you recruit the kid, and you bring him to school. I mean, yeah, I get it. It's more difficult than that, but that was not. You could do that before, and you can now. So I think that if you're a coach, you have to ask yourself, where's this program, and realistically, how quickly do I think I can get it turned around? And because the fans know that, if you are an AD, the way I see this, if you're an AD, you have to ask yourself what coach has that power of attracting players quickly from not just the high school kids, but the college kids, the transfers, right? So is that Tony Elliott? Is Tony Elliott a brand name that he can step in and, bring these cats in? Is that Hugh Freeze? The thing about Hugh Freeze you have to be careful with, Darren, is the dings against him when he goes out recruiting. I mean, that's one of – look, I do have this from a source. Like, that was something that was talked about, was if we hire this guy, it's hard to recruit to South Carolina now with what Clemson's doing, what Georgia do. We hire this guy, how much more difficult is this going to be?
And I honestly, that's one of the reasons Beamer was hired. That's one of the reasons the fans and eventually like the alums of the program started pushing so hard for Shane Beamer. It wasn't necessarily, he's the best football coach we can go out and get. It was a combination of, we think he's going to be a good coach. He also loves this place like we do, and he can recruit here. That was, didn't we talk about that for months? Yeah. So
he's been doing it.
Yeah, you're dead on, because every administrator, that's the only way you can think right now. If you're making a coaching hire, and most hires are this way, because you need a change in direction of your program, then number one is how quickly is this guy going to be able to do it? And then number two is how much can you sustain the success? I don't think I have those orders wrong. I think it's more important right now for a lot of these programs, how quickly can we get back? We'll worry about sustaining it then. So then it becomes who's a fit in that right place. Again, I've said before, I think James Franklin would be a fit at Southern Cal. I think he could do that at Southern Cal the way he did that for a time. I'm still doing it. Penn State has a great recruiting class, but I think he'd be a fit there. I think Jamie Chadwell, his personality, his style, his knowledge of the area, I think he could be a fit there. I think that could be a nice jump from where he is without making this massive leap, but a good jump into the Power 5 from where he is right now. To me, because of that makes sense. For LSU, that's why I don't think Napier fits at LSU. I don't think he's a guy who will draw so much love that, bang, he can fix things right off the bat.
Well, and to your point there, that's where Scott Woodward's head has always been in hiring anybody. I mean, he wants the name to sizzle, not pop, sizzle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that Scott Woodward thinks that Billy Napier's name sizzles enough, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see where this goes, but and I don't anticipate Shane Beamer even being a finalist for that job. Matter of fact, I'm really looking forward to hearing him in about 45 minutes to see what he does to put this to bed, just like that. But it was interesting timing, by the way, with the with this news for Justin Fuente. I mean, you've got the graphic up there on the screen. 43-31 in 6 seasons at Virginia Tech. They are 5-5. They're 3-3 in the league. And last I checked, they beat Duke by 31 points this weekend. It's not like they're coming off of some horrible loss. I mean, they won the game. And
they beat North Carolina to open the year. And then it was, oh my God, maybe Virginia Tech can get to the ACC championship game this year.
Yeah.
That didn't help his cause come 9 weeks later, but.
No, yeah, and, just a couple of close ones in there. If he could have pulled off the West Virginia game, or certainly that Notre Dame game at home that they lost by a field goal, maybe he's still coaching. But something tells me, Darren, this has probably been in the works for a little while, and they wanted to wait until the right time to announce it. Maybe it was because it was the last home game. They let him coach one more at home. They're on the road at Miami, on the road at Virginia to finish the season. I have no idea. But it seemed like strange timing to me. So we'll see. We will certainly see. 12:29 on a Tuesday afternoon. When we return, I Hope Consulting will bring Keith Allsep, or introduce the Keith Allsep segment here. Keith, of course, the host of the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Hoops is in full go right now. Football season, the final stretch run, all that to get to with Keith. Obviously, we're going to talk to him about this situation and much more. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, very proudly presented by Motley Rice. We'll be right back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
Okay, what's going on today, huh? Anything to talk about?
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon. Greetings and a good Tuesday afternoon. Greetings and a good Wednesday afternoon, and welcome aboard. All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon. Greetings and a good Friday afternoon, and welcome aboard. You wouldn't believe my desk right now. I don't even know. Whatever. Welcome back, 12:33 on this Tuesday afternoon. The JB and I was reading a text. Sorry. JB and Goldwater Show presented by Motley Rice. I Help Consulting presents this segment, though. How can I help you? Ask yourself that question. If you're a business owner, how can I help you? I Help Consulting, owned by Daniel Owens. This is very easy. Again, if you own a business, listen to me. Listen to me. Turn off the music and put your sandwich down. Just go to ihelpconsulting.com and read how he and his team can help you. It's not, they're not, you don't have to pay them a fee unless you're saving a bunch of money, like the healthcare facility that saved $50,000. Yeah, they had to pay a little fee for that because they saved $50,000. ihelpconsulting.com, helping the whole state of South Carolina. How can I help you? How can Keith help us? I don't know, Keith. Is Shane going to Blacksburg? He's going to Blacksburg, isn't he? That's what they're saying. He's going to Blacksburg. What's up, man?
Well, I mean, number one, you'll always be compared to your dad. I don't think anybody will ever duplicate Frank Beamer's success there. The landscape has changed. The conferences have changed.
Yeah.
And lastly, I really don't think he'll even be considered for that job. I just don't think he will be. I think if I'm Babcock, I'm doing a deep dive on Hugh Freeze, who's very successful right there in their own state, and Billy Napier, and maybe James Franklin if he gets squeezed out at Penn State. Darren, you'd know better than me, but there's a lot of talk he could get squeezed out at Penn State.
That's interesting.
I don't think he'll be fired at Penn State, but there's enough of the fan base that's not content, and they haven't been for a little while, that it's a similar to Tony Elliott, I think, with the Clemson fan base right now, that it's kind of at the point of, all right, well, we're not going to fire him, but if someone wants to take him, like, that's his number.
What's, not to interrupt, what's left on his contract up there?
A lot. Oh, I want to say it's like 6 years or something like that. It's a big buyout because every year he's mentioned, and then he keeps getting extensions and raises, and his agent has been great, and then he switched to another one anyway. For the record, I don't think he should be fired, but I think you knew that about me anyway.
Yeah, I agree with Keith. Keith, I mean, I said this earlier too. I first of all, I don't think Shane really wants to leave South Carolina, and he's more than likely he's going. Knowing Shane, he'll address it at the top of the press conference here. If not, then I know at least one reporter is going to ask him about it, and I know who it is. Well,
look,
actually, with
everybody in the room.
Yeah, it needs to be asked if he doesn't address it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just had somebody say, hey, if he doesn't answer it quickly, I'm going to pop in there and ask it. Of course, we all know one person who's probably going to be eager to get in there and ask it.
Hey, Shane, thanks for doing this.
Keith, I agree with you. I first of all, I don't think he's that interested. Second of all, I don't know that Virginia Tech is really that interested. And I don't know that means that they're not interested because they don't think he's a good coach. I don't know that Shane Beamer's the right fit for Virginia Tech right now. I think they need somebody who can get it turned around on a dime.
Yeah, I mean, boy, did Tony Elliott pick a bad year for Clemson to be down. I mean, that Virginia Tech is really a job. If you listen to a lot of people that know Tony Elliott that are connected to Clemson's program, that's a job that, you know, he really has always coveted. It's a job Jeff Scott, you know, always coveted. He took South Florida. You know, we'll see how long that experiment lasts. I mean, I just think if I'm Virginia Tech, I think my job's probably better than other people think it is. And so they're going to do just like everybody else. They're going to work their way down the list. Very seldom, guys, does a job come open and the top 2 or 3 guys that are mentioned for it gets it. I mean, it just doesn't. Hey, Tom Herman was a done deal to South Carolina until he wasn't. And then Kirby Smart was taking South Carolina until Georgia was like, nope, Mark Richt, 150 wins, 15 years, you're fired. We're not letting Kirby go to South Carolina. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Agents are involved. Jimmy Sexton is involved. And whether people want to admit it or not, guys like him, they control the board. They just do.
So let me ask you this, Keith, and I think there's a lot of proof behind what I'm going to say here, just because all I got to do is go back and look at the standings the last 8 years. This job, they have great facilities, got great fan base. They're going to be able to pay some money and things like that. But I think as important as anything, you can win there. Like in the Coastal Division, I mean, Pittsburgh's having a nice year, but guess what? Next year, that might be Georgia Tech. The next year, that might be Virginia. There is no Bama. There is no Clemson. There is no Ohio State. There's no juggernaut that's just standing there in the way. So if you're looking for an opportunity and you think, hey, I can slip in the door there and nab me a couple of transfers, get a pretty good quarterback, I could be a hero up here pretty quick and stick around or go on somewhere else.
I mean, that is true, but it's only as true as how long Miami continues to screw it up with just abysmal hires and total frauds as head football coach. Manny Diaz is a total fraud as a head football coach. The guy that was there before him, I mean, he's acting like he's a frat boy at Penn State with his white shirt and his tie and, in South Florida. I mean, come on. It's the you. I mean, you wear the white helmets, you wear the orange jerseys and the white pants at home. You save the green jerseys for big games. Now you watch Miami on TV, you don't even know it's Miami. It's one of the most recognizable brands. It'd be just like Penn State going to black uniforms. I mean, come on, dude.
Well, Miami and Florida State played this past weekend, and Darren, we had to remind people on Friday, hey, by the way, the wide right games this weekend. No one even realized it.
That's what I called it. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a surprising loss at this point, I think, for a lot of us. I think both of us thought Miami would win that game. And maybe that was the last straw in what's happening at Miami with their AD out. That was yesterday or this morning.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen with Diaz? Is he going to be the next one out? Probably. We'll see.
Do you think?
A good sign.
Do you think so? Do you think that's why they fired the AD? Because the AD just a couple of days ago was like, "Oh, Ed Manny, he's going to be here a while. We're all in on him." I think they said, "Wait a second, we'll just get you out of the way and we'll handle this on our own."
I mean, I think people understand he's a fraud. I just think people know it. I mean, I know a lot of Texas people. I know people connected to the program. I mean, Matt Brown had it going, and he was the D coordinator, and they couldn't stop anybody. He became a running joke with his own players at practice. I mean, he's just – he's not like me. He's got the nice hair, slick back. His dad was the mayor of Miami. He took over for the guy that was at Temple and won for just a quick minute there, and then immediately, well, I don't even think he was. He didn't never coach a game there. Mm-hmm. He just was the D coordinator, and then they fired the coach, and then he took that job. Well, let's bring him back. Well, how about no? Let's see if he can win first and bring him back. I mean, I just feel like, and I've always felt, Power 5 jobs, 99% of the time, Georgia being an exception because of the talent and the talent base and what a great job it is. You need somebody that's proven that they can do more with less and can win at a place that's not as great as the one you're getting ready to bring them into.
Well, with all that being said, to kind of wrap this VT talk, is there any name that hasn't at least been mentioned by us today that you feel is appropriate to throw into this conversation? Let me ask you all a strange question. Let me ask you a strange question here. I want to see your reactions. What about Pat Narduzzi?
Sure. If you're going to start mentioning Dave Clawson jumping from one ACC school to another, then why not throw another name in? I have no idea what Narduzzi's ties are down this way. This way being, I guess, farther south, even though they're way north of us. But I don't know what his ties are or if there are any.
He's done a great job, man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Keith?
So for me, Virginia Tech cares more about winning at football than Wake Forest does. It's a better job than Wake Forest. It's a state school. And so Dave Clawson, if I was Whit Babcock, I think that's his name, that would absolutely be a guy.
Yep.
Because it's a lot tougher to recruit at Wake Forest than it is at Virginia Tech because, look, you just can't get guys in, okay? I was coaching at Guilford College with a Wake Forest alum, and Dave Odom was the head coach at Wake Forest, and they were trying to get Rodney Rogers and Jamie Watson. And They couldn't get Jamie Watson in, and they had to plead, beg, borrow, and steal, and promise and Wake alumni that their sons made 1380 and had a 4.0 and still couldn't get in, raised hell because they let Rodney Rogers in school at Wake Forest. Okay, you're not just getting in there with the bare minimum NCAA requirements. And so what he's done to me is nothing short of phenomenal. And so Dave Clawson and Gary Patterson would probably be like the two guys that I would really, really want, because they've proven they're program builders. And I think that's a place where you can go and retire if you do well as Virginia Tech.
I think I don't know that I've seen anybody mention Gary Patterson yet, Keith. I think you're the first one I've heard, and I think that's a great name to throw out there. He's a hell of a football coach.
I mean, look, if Shane Beamer wants to go to Virginia Tech, let's go hire Gary Patterson. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Well, I don't think we need to.
I mean, I hope Shane turns it around, but look, there's 2 or 3 things that's going to happen, because he does not have Will Muschamp's pedigree. He never worked for Nick Saban. Okay, he's going to have to make a change at offensive coordinator and offensive line coach after this season, because you're probably not going to get the one guy that you needed to get right from your own backyard at Dutch Fork High School, where Eric Kimry played, and there was another Kimry that coached there, Bill Kimry, his dad.
Yeah.
And, you know, Shane Beamer, like I said it several weeks ago on your show, he's going to have a brand new president. When his second season kicks off at South Carolina, that had nothing to do with the process of hiring him. And by then he could potentially even have a new athletic director as well. And I just think, I don't care if South Carolina beats Auburn, Clemson, and wins a bowl game. I still think he's going to have to make staff changes on the offensive side of the football to be able to sustain success in the Southeastern Conference and make the offensive system at South Carolina palatable to big-time recruits.
I don't disagree with any of that, Keith. We had a question yesterday that popped up on the Share Healthcare chat lines that asked that specifically. You know, if they win a 6th game, does that mean that this staff is safe? And my response was, well, no, the staff is never safe. Even teams that go undefeated make staff changes. You don't ever know exactly what's going on, and it's obviously clear now that the Florida game, there are a lot of reasons why that went the way of the Gamecocks the way that it did. In addition to the fact that Marcus Satterfield did have a good game calling plays, but that isn't anything that's been consistent. It happened one time, and you got to have consistency. It's got to be the other way around. It's got to be pretty consistently good, and then, yeah, you might have a bad game here and there. That's what happened a lot with Steve Spurrier and others, but you got to be more consistent than they have been. Keith, I think in the short term, though, Carolina fans desperately want to go bowling, and this football team desperately needs to go bowling. Who cares what it looks like? Just go. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to put you on the spot. There's 2 games left in the season. Do they go bowling or not?
I think that this team is so consistently inconsistent, there's no answer with any certainty. Like, I could see a scenario to where Auburn comes in there and Tank Bigsby rushes for 240 yards and South Carolina loses. And then DJ Uiagalelei rushes 21 times for 142 yards, and the freshman tailback has 160 yards, and they beat South Carolina 13-10. I mean, but at the same time, Clayton White, his defense and Pete Limbo's special teams, I think give this team a chance to win one of these games. because the football is shaped funny. It did not bounce. I mean, it bounced both ways equally on Saturday afternoon in Como, 3 turnovers for each team, but you knew South Carolina couldn't turn over the ball. They couldn't give away points and win, and that didn't happen. And what's more frustrating, and I had a good friend tell me this, and friend of the show and one of my all-time favorite Gamecocks, Langston Moore, was filling in for Tommy Suggs on the radio because Tommy was being honored by his company. And I full disclosure, I had to watch the first half of the game on my phone on the way back from Fredericksburg from a high school playoff game that started at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning after I called a playoff game that didn't end until after 10 p.m. on Friday night. So 9 straight times on first down, Missouri went 0 coverage and blitzed the hell out of South Carolina, and there was not one draw. There was not one screen pass. I can remember several years ago when a guy that could change stuff up during the game was calling, and Gary Pinkel decided they were going to go 0 coverage and blitz a bunch. And I think Spurrier threw about 7 or 8 screen passes in a row to Mike Davis and Brandon Wilds. And Carolina came back and won that game. And they went 0 coverage, and he called 4th down and changed the play on the touchdown on the out route to Bruce Ellington. Mm-hmm. And there was 0 proof of any adjustments in that game. And you ran 7 formations against Florida. In the first 17 plays, you ran 12 different formations. You ran the fullback 4 times. You had the Trey Jones package 4 times in the first quarter, only once in the second quarter, none in the second half, and there was no adjustments in the second half whatsoever. They just kept bringing the house, and this guy showed, I don't know what the hell to do.
Well, I mean, that's been the most consistent part of the season, right? Is not knowing what to do. So, I mean, it's where they are. I think you know, if you're South Carolina, look, I'm going to make a prediction here, and I don't know which one it's going to be, but I do think South Carolina goes going. I think they win one of these next 2 games. I don't know which one because you don't ever know with Carolina, but I do know this: they somehow keep finding ways to win at home. You know, with the exception of that Kentucky game, which they should have won, they keep finding ways to win at home, and the last 2 are at home. And you know, so the question that I have, trying to be positive about this, is what type of impact 6-6 or better, but let's just say 6-6 here, would have on this program from 5-7. How drastic of an impact or a positive change do you think that would be, Keith, with just 1 more win as opposed to none?
All right. Well, Jamie, number 1, I really admire your optimism. Number 2, I do agree that this team plays better at home, and so that's why you can't rule it out. Yep. Also, Bo Nix is out for the year. Yep. TJ Finley will play quarterback, and Travaris Robinson is not calling the defense. And thank God. That's the only success that cat had all year last year at LSU was against Travaris Robinson, and honestly, I might as well have been calling the defense that night. I think Clayton White will have a great plan, but I think it's incumbent Tank Bigsby, who asked Will Muschamp to get a tank from the Armory so he could film his commitment video for South Carolina, which they did.
Yeah.
He plays for Auburn, and he's really good. But I mean, look, let's say this like it is. Florida, Missouri, 2 completely different offenses. Florida, quarterback run, power runs, mostly inside run game. Much more conducive to Damani Staley, Brad Johnson, because neither one of them are very good laterally. Missouri really put strain on your edges. This was not a game for Aaron Sterling. He's too small. I know he's Mike P's favorite, and Mike P's a hell of a coach. That was not an Aaron Sterling game. And they ran outside zone and zone stretch and stretched it. And Damani Staley had all kind of chances, and he was chasing Tyler Beatty. One of them was on a little pass where they isolated Tyler Beatty on Damani Staley, and Staley ran with him as long as he could. And if he hadn't tried to tackle him around the shoulders, could have made the play, and couldn't make the play, and that was third down, and they went down, and that was at the end of the half after Carolina had it 1st and 10 at the Missouri 41 and wound up 4th and 35 and had to punt.
I thought they should have gone for it there. All the fourth downs.
It wasn't.
I'm just kidding.
They really strained what South Carolina could do on defense by forcing the linebackers to have to play in space more and have to go further to make plays. And, I really have not watched Auburn that much, but I know this. Mike Bobo's pretty smart, and their offense has been really good, but Bo Nix has made a ton of plays for them, and their offensive line just okay. Tank Bigsby special. Wide receivers mostly gone. And so to me, with a backup quarterback at home at night, Williams-Brice Stadium, if Shane Beamer's proven he can handle adversity, I mean, you got a shot, but everything has to line up. Jason Brown's got to have more than the spin move to the left every time. And, can I say this? When the team's in zero coverage and their corners are 6 foot tall and you got this 6'8" guy, maybe you just ought to say max protect and let's just throw it up to this 6'8" guy. How many times did you see that on Saturday?
I know. We mentioned that yesterday. I kept looking out there going, well, there's seemingly a foot advantage with E.J. Jenkins and whoever the dude is covering him. And I don't even know if he got a target. He might have gotten one. By the way, a quick note on Tank Bigsby, which we'll talk more about him on Friday in the big Gamecock preview. But outside of 3 weeks ago now, against Ole Miss when he had 23 carries for 140, in the previous 7 games he has not gone over 69 yards in a game. It was, as you mentioned, Keith, the Bo Nix show. Early in the year, 2 of his 4 100-yard games came in the first 2 against Akron and Alabama State, and he did have 102 yards against Penn State on 23 carries, but that's it. The rest of the year has been very average. What I'm really interested in that, Keith, this week, people typically run the football well against South Carolina. That's true. But Bo Nix is not playing. TJ Finley, there's a reason why he wasn't playing. So I'm interested to see what that looks like this weekend. I don't know if it's an advantage or not for South Carolina. Generally, when backup quarterbacks are in the game, they have the game of their lives.
I think you can expect Bigsby to be more of a focus of Auburn's offense. I mean, I think he will be. I think that's clear for both those reasons. A,
No
quarterback's
doubt.
out. B, that's proven to be the weakness in South Carolina's defense.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree. I think I would be trying to run a lot of outside zone and zone stretch to get him on the perimeter or get him matched up in the passing game against Damani Staley. I mean, Damani Staley gives his blood, hearts, guts, everything he's got. He's just very limited. They didn't have a lot of linebackers. Sherrod Green was the one guy that could probably do it. And he got hurt. Was it the first play against Georgia that South Carolina was on defense? So,
yeah. Well, let's hope they win, Keith. Let's hope they win. Let's hope it's 2 in a row against Auburn. And I know one thing. I'll tell you what. You want to stick around for about 15 more minutes?
Sure.
All right. Well, is that okay with you, Mr. Producer Darren?
Great.
I tell you, we didn't even get into hoops with Keith because there is some women's news to pass along, and the men are playing basketball too. And I wanted to talk to Keith about Mike Bobo. So I tell you what, you just stick around. We're going to hit a timeout. The national anthem will welcome back hour number 2. We do have the Shane Beamer press conference coming up, and then Mike Morgan to follow. But we'll keep Keith around for about another 15 minutes. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back. Right here in our backyard is Motley Rice LLC, a law firm that hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for South Carolinians who were injured while traveling by plane or bus, harmed by medical drugs and devices, or burdened by dangerous auto recalls, including Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. We are honored to have Motley Rice as a sponsor for the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risk their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work, and to others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf team. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Roberts, owner of 3 Seeds Wellness Studios. And just like being in your favorite ballpark feels like home, our studio feels like home to our clients. We offer over 20 different services to help our guests cultivate, nourish, and grow their bodies and minds. Centrally located in the heart of West Ashley, we offer massages, facials, acupuncture, yoga classes, and everything in between, helping you become that you want to be. A complete list of services are available online, and gift cards are available both online and for curbside pickup. Go to 3seedswellnessstudios.com. Happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
All right, final hour Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show. Very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes, not just cases. MotleyRice.com. Make sure you've downloaded the JB and Goldwater app, jbandgoldwatershow.com as well. On social media at JB and Goldwater, and individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. Reminder to all of you who follow me on Twitter, I'm not on Facebook. I hate it. Those of you that love it, congratulations. It's great, and we hope you watch us there. I just don't care about all my friends' political beliefs. And I don't really use Instagram. So just if you follow me on Twitter, as the holiday season is now here, it's not approaching, it has arrived. Expect a heavy dose of my children over the next couple of months because Christmas time is active in our house. Speaking of Christmas time, as we all know, the holidays can be stressful. So Darren and I have an idea for all of you gentlemen out there who are near the low country of South Carolina. All right, we're going to make you a holiday hero. Okay, you like that term? You're going to be a holiday hero. 3 Seeds Wellness Studios in West Ashley are going to do just that for you. All right, we have coming up in a few weeks, we're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways around here. But I'll just go ahead and tell you that we have a lot of people that watch and listen to our program. So the fact that if you're banking on winning something, I wouldn't bank on it. Just be happy if you do. That'll be your Christmas miracle. But if you want to make your wife or husband happy this holiday season, go to 3seedswellnessstudios.com. They've got literally everything you could possibly imagine when it comes to services, from massages. They have yoga classes. They have, if you got somebody that needs acupuncture. I mean, all these things that I don't know anything about, but my wife does and loves them. Yeah. You know, the whole happy wife, happy life thing. Yeah, that's where we are since she started going there. 3 Seeds Wellness Studios in West Ashley. I'm telling you, teeth whitening. Maybe your wife's got some gangly looking teeth and you don't want to tell her. Just give her a gift card for a couple $100 and let her figure it out on her. I'm just kidding. I'm sure that's not the case. 3seedswellnessstudios.com. I had to be funny about something because I don't know anything about getting facials, but you know, you don't want to be the dude that brings your wife to the holiday party and she's got them yellow mucked up teeth. You don't want that, right?
You probably don't want to be the dude that told your wife that either.
No, that's why you just get her a gift card. You know, drop a recommendation. I don't know where that came from, honey. It must have somebody must put that in there. 3 Seeds Wellness Studios. Rebecca Roberts is the owner. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. So is Keith. All right, Keith. Let's put the lid on this football conversation here. So Mike Bobo returns this weekend, and you know something that we've kind of talked about around here for a while. And Shane's going to be asked about Mike Bobo today, and knowing Shane, he's going to sidestep this and say, look, you know, we really hope he's doing well and we wish him the best. And we're just fine without him. And the internet's going to freak out because they're going to go, our offense sucks and blah, 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 you know, but you know how it goes, Keith, he's not going to get into all that. But if I'm personally Shane Beamer this week behind closed doors in that locker room, I'm telling everybody, put your phone in your locker and come with me, because I don't want anybody videotaping or anything stupid while we have this conversation. The guy who's going to be across the field from you this week didn't think you were good enough. And I don't care what he says, how he says it. It doesn't matter whether it's even the truth or not. But the motivation needs to be there, because Mike Bobo did walk out the door on this football team after he said how much he wanted to be here. And he's at Auburn now, and Carolina needs to beat him this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to get your thoughts on his return.
I have a ton of respect for Mike Bobo as a man, as a football coach, and I think he did, quite frankly, what anybody in his position would do. Men of a certain age, you know, there's not many guarantees in life, whether you want to admit it or not. Age discrimination is a real thing in a lot of professions. And he got $1.2 million more dollars to go to Auburn than to stay at South Carolina. He's got a documented track record of success. Yeah, everybody can point to one or two plays. Well, hell, I can point to one or two games a year Spurrier had where he just didn't dial him up right. No play caller is perfect. The next guy, when Shane Beamer brings him in, is not going to be perfect. Lincoln Riley wasn't perfect on Saturday, was he? I mean, Baylor kicked their teeth in the fourth quarter. You know, I mean, Mike Bobo's a hell of a football coach. That's the bottom line. South Carolina would have been better off with him than without him, particularly because you'd have been in the same system that produced the SEC's leading rusher. I don't really have anything bad to say about him because coaches are mercenaries, so are sales reps. If you don't think you've been at a company for 2 years and another company offers you $1 million more dollars and another year on your contract to get to go, you're going. That's just the nature of the beast. And if Shane Beamer hadn't have gotten the job at South Carolina and Steve Sarkisian would have offered him the same deal to come to Texas, he would have taken it and been out the door. Mike Bobo's got 5 kids. I don't have anything bad to say about him.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But I mean, if you're a head coach, sometimes you got to manufacture some type of extra juice in that locker room, and it just might be
6
time.
wins ought to be enough to me. I mean, yeah, you can say you didn't think you were good enough, and you can do all of that, but and you're looking for every edge you can get. So I expect he will leverage it a little bit, you know, especially since there was a lot of talk of Mike Bobo tampering with Jason Brown even during the summer.
Yeah,
that was out there. You know, maybe that's enough. But to me, once the game starts and you get hit in the mouth, ain't nobody going to be thinking about Mike Bobo.
No, I don't think so. I'll say this too. On top of all of that, the one person who probably should take it personally, and not because he has any reason other than just to prove it to himself, Marcus Satterfield. I mean, you're the new OC, man. I mean, everybody's been banging on your door, and rightfully so, because you've had a bad year. But, you know, the guy that was the OC that left a serviceable offensive line, the SEC's leading rusher, all that stuff, you know, he's calling plays across from you. So, you know, I think Carolina fans would take their offensive coordinator, who's largely struggled this year in calling plays. I think they'd take him being pretty good in this one, even if it's just because he wants to prove to the guy who was here before him that he's okay at his job, even if that might not be true.
I mean, that's all to be determined.
Sure.
We'll see.
You know, sometimes you got to look for that added edge, and Carolina needs it. They got to get to 6 wins, 7 wins if they can get there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great because it'd be huge for the program for recruiting, for all the young players, and for this team to have, whether it's 10 or 12 bowl practices, for everybody to get to go to a bowl game, whether it's in Charlotte or Birmingham or the Gasparilla Bowl or Shreveport or wherever it would be. It's still better than not going to a bowl game. I mean, after you've been to Tampa, you know, maybe Charlotte or Shreveport wouldn't be as appealing. Clearly it wasn't a few years ago. But, I mean, it'd be really huge for Shane Beamer. I mean, you could say, well, we just won as many games my first year as they won the last 2 years, and we're going to a bowl game, you know, for the first time in a while. To me, that's momentum for recruiting. I still think you got to make changes.
No doubt.
Quickly, I think. I mean, I just think you do. I just think it's the landscape's different with the portal, with the early signing period, with everything else. It's just
different. I think that there's some people out there, Keith, who've drawn this line in the sand of, well, if we go to a bowl game, then that might mean that that Shane Beamer keeps this coach or that coach or whatever. So maybe we don't need to go to a bowl game. That's a load of crap. I mean, my God, if you're not going to pull for your team to win every time they play the game, don't ever pull for them again. Go find someone else to pull for. I don't understand that thinking. The two can be true at the same time. That they need to win games, but there also needs to be changes. Maybe this team needs to keep moving in the right direction. You can't recruit kids or sign kids in the transfer portal when you're not any good. You got to win games, and they need to win games.
Kurt Roper got fired.
Yeah, this happens all the time. You can win games and make changes, which is what probably needs to happen here. More than likely needs to happen.
I'm still not sold on that, by the way. I hadn't brought that up in a while, but I'm still not on the camp. I'm still in the give it a full year and evaluate it camp.
Well, I mean, it will be a full year.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying
I haven't come to a conclusion.
Actually, you're 11 days, 10 or 11 days away from a full year.
Mm-hmm. And if there are two good games here offensively in these last two, okay. We'll see. I don't think the verdict's out. I really don't.
I mean, me giving birth to triplets has probably got a better shot of happening than that. Let's face it. If South Carolina wins,
not just giving birth to triplets.
I agree. I'm just saying my verdict is not in. Like this is year
that's
one.
Because you are a Penn State guy.
No, it's because I'm rational on the outside and take everything in.
Well,
again, I brought this up at the beginning of the show, Keith, and this is the fact that Shane Beamer, from the outside of Gamecock Nation, is being mentioned by a lot of folks as a possibility. Take out whether you think he'll go. I don't think any of us think he will or think he'll consider it. Whatever. Take that out. The fact that he's being mentioned, it shows you the perception of what he's already accomplished in year one is either on par with as good as people thought was possible or potentially have exceeded it already. That is a fact. That's my stance on the thing already. I've been saying that pretty consistently.
Well, I mean, I can remember after South Carolina won 8 games and went to the Outback Bowl, the national perception of Will Muschamp changed.
Mm-hmm.
People were worried, and it wasn't me. Some guy on the Big Spur says, I came up with this. The reason Will Muschamp was getting his extension was that people were worried LSU, or I said LSU may hire him. No, that didn't come from me. That came from people in the college football world that knew a lot more about it than I did. But that really wasn't true. And obviously that never materialized because he didn't capitalize on it. And all I'm saying is this. You don't have 5 years. You don't have 6 years. Look at the guy at Texas Tech. Look at Chad Morris at Arkansas. This is Shane Beamer's one chance at being a head football coach in Power 5, maybe in FBS. And if you bring Marcus Satterfield back next year and you still have the same issues on offense, he's probably getting fired. It may not even make it to year 3. And I stick by that. If he does not make changes, particularly Marcus Satterfield and probably Greg Atkins, he will be on the clock for the over and under on Chad Morris's tenure at Arkansas.
Well, I think to be fair to the conversation is the fact that everything has changed. First of all, to Darren's point, I don't disagree with Darren. I think they should. You only have 2 games left in the season now anyways. And I talked to a source in the program. He was like, dude, we don't have anybody to call plays. He has to call plays anyways. So wait till the end of the year, see what it looks like, because clearly we thought there might be a turning point in Florida, and that didn't turn. But that will be 1 full year. You've had your 12 games, and there's your resume, and then we'll evaluate it and move on. The other side of it, what Keith's talking about is there's truth in that, and here's why. The sport's totally different than it used to be. You don't have to – these aren't the days of it takes 4 recruiting classes to build them up and go. Well, it doesn't. It takes maybe 1 or 2 and then a transfer portal. That's what it takes now. And even if that's not totally true, that's what people think. And so you can't get around that. And, I mean, it just is what it is. And so it all, in my opinion, ties together. And I think y'all, well, y'all are both right. I think we're all on the same page here in some way, shape, or form. But the clock does start sooner And you actually, Keith, as you know, can extend that clock even if you struggle again next year with a new OC because you at least made a change. So you bought yourself some more time.
I mean, look, I'm just saying what complicates it even more is Lane Kiffin, year 2, Sam Pittman, year 2, Mike Leach,
Heupel, year 1.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker, year 2, right? Not just in the SEC. You can go out and you can look at all these coaches that are being successful. Dave Aranda, year 2, okay, 5-7, 4-8, 6-6, year 2. After all these guys at programs that Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, that have it a lot tougher than you do. I mean, look, my guy. That SEC podcast did his SEC power rankings for this past week. The bottom 5 were teams from the SEC East. Okay, the bottom 5. That's everybody outside of Georgia and Tennessee. The bottom 5 were all in the SEC East. We're not the SEC West. Okay, and these people, Lane Kiffin beat Jimbo Fisher. South Carolina lost 48-7 and had 6 yards total offense with 2 minutes and change left to go. That's just, it's 1 or 2 recruiting classes and transfer portal, and you better win or you're out. And if you're Shane Beamer, it wasn't like you came with a very high price tag. The buyout ain't the same as a Will Muschamp buyout. He's got to win.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, and to your point, and then I do want to get to hoops, Keith, because we got to let you run here in a minute to get to Mike. But this is, by the way, this is not me taking a shot at all at Jason Brown. I think he's literally done everything he could possibly do, and he's gonna keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Tennessee took, what'd they take? 3 transfer quarterbacks. You know, you see what I'm saying here? I mean, there's always going to be a different angle to look at all these things. And when it's happening like that around you, that's going to put more pressure on you. So Shane's got to deal with it, and we'll see what he does. They might just win Saturday. Maybe they just win. Just win the damn game. Just win the game. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what I said. All right, Keith. Quick women's question. Did you know that South Carolina, they're ranked number 1, the ladies? Lady Gamecocks. Okay, you got that. Raven Johnson is out for the season. What does that mean for the rest of the squad?
I think it means Dawn Staley has probably got to rethink her plans. I think Raven Johnson, you brought her in to run the point behind Destiny Henderson for 1 year and then be ready to go to take it over, to be able to, as the season went on, be able to slide Raven Johnson in at point guard and move Destiny Henderson off the ball because she's the best 3-point shooter on the team. I think now you've got to, come up with depth at point guard, and you've got Anaya Russell, who was a parade All-American, who was a point guard in high school. She played mostly off the ball. I think the other interesting option is a player who has not played. She broke her nose right before the first game, and then she had some kind of illness, stomach bug, something when they went to South Dakota. But Sanaya Rivers, I always thought was the best player Dawn Staley signed, probably the best athlete out of Wilmington, North Carolina, since that Air Jordan guy. She's a 6'1" guard who can dunk, who Dawn Staley said there's nobody like her, how well she can pass, she can handle the ball, just a tremendously gifted offensive player. I think now you got to bring her along maybe in a different role than you had envisioned. Destiny Littleton's a senior who is much better off the guard or off the ball because that's just her, that she's just better. at doing that. She's not overly athletic. And I think, in the really big games.
Expecting someone else?
Are you expecting someone else?
I don't have any idea. I'm not expecting anybody else.
Is that the ring doorbell?
No, it was not. It's probably some ad on one of the many windows I have or browsers open.
Well,
so how about men, women are number one, men lost to Princeton. Frank Martin took a bunch of transfers. He took one guy named Eric Stevenson, who was a career 29% three-point shooter. This is the Will Rogers of basketball. He has never met a shot he didn't like, and I honestly believe if you faked him a pass, he would shoot it.
Yeah, we figured that. We asked Frank about that last week. I asked him, is there a spot on the floor he's scared to shoot from? He said, no. Guy just fires him up.
And he said he earned the right to do it, too, because of how much he works in practice.
Yeah.
Well, he is 2 for 25. That's 8%. I honestly believe I could take 25 catch and shoot threes blindfolded and make at least 2.
Yeah. He's one of two things is probably going to end up having to happen with him, which I hope it's the first one. Either start making them or stop shooting them.
Yes.
All right. So when I was a coach at Goose Creek, I had this kid, and he was a really great kid. He was a good player, but he wasn't a great three-point shooter, but he just kept shooting it, and I just kept pointing out it's not a good shot. And he's like, but Coach, I'm open. I'm like, yes, you're open because nobody believes you're making that shot. Of course you're open.
Let me final minute here, Keith. By the way, Shane Beamer has totally shot down all of this. This is his dream job. He has no interest in leaving. This is home, and took it as an opportunity to
if
continue.
Southern Cal called tomorrow, he would be on the first plane out. Okay. He was born in South Carolina. He's not from South Carolina. He's from Virginia. He grew up in Virginia. That's his home. I mean, I know it's a part of the narrative and the story and all of that, but.
Well, I give him
his comment was about the Virginia Tech opening.
Yeah.
Does it mean it's completely done? Of course not. Nothing ever means that. But good for him to jump out right in front and answer the question before it gets asked. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I love coaching here and so on. And basically another recruiting pitch is what he got into, which is
always be recruiting. That's what he does.
Always recruiting.
He's good at that.
Real quick, the final minute here. A guy like that who he does have a nice shot. It's not like the guy's, a little wacky out there. I mean, he looks like he's about to drain each and every one he takes. He's very confident, or at least it appears that way, Keith. What do you do for a guy like that who just can't see it through? I mean, you obviously want to see what couple go in to get him some confidence, but from a coaching standpoint, what is generally something that a coach will try to do to get you going for a dude like Stevenson who likes to go out there and fire him up from behind the arc?
I mean, that's a tough deal, particularly if you've already in your recruiting pitch to him told him he's got the green light and he's worked hard in practice and he's making them in practice. And so clearly, I mean, he was 0 for 10 in one game, and against USC Upstate, he was 0 for 6 and hit the last one to end up 3 for 13 from the field. I mean, he's shooting 23% for all shots, and like I said, 2 for 25. That's 8%. I mean, at this point, you've made him into what he is. He's going to be a gunner until you rein him in and you have certain spots to put him. Like for me, as soon as Keyshawn Bryant's eligible, he's going to the bench. And then I can control the sets. I can control the situations that I want to put him in. But I want to get him going. I need to get him going. But I don't need for him to shoot me out of games. Yeah. And like I said, clearly, if you fake him a pass, he's going to shoot it. I got that from Sonny Smith.
It's pretty good.
You know, he had a guy one time, he said that about Sonny, and I mean, he's awesome. He coached one of my players at VCU, and I think the world of him. But I mean, at this point, Frank Martin's built this guy up publicly and evidently privately. And, you know, now you're going to have to figure it out. I mean, look, it's a long season. It's November. It's early November. Guys usually shoot better in January and February and March, and hopefully after the conference tournament in March than they do in early November. So we'll see.
We will see. There's no doubt. I like that line. You want to get him going, but you don't want him to shoot you out of the game. Hopefully here soon he's rocking and rolling. They've got UAB coming up on Thursday night at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia. 2-1 are the Gamecocks. Keith, I'll let you run on that note. The Locked on the Gamecocks podcast is what you want to check out if you haven't already done it. And as Keith just pointed out, go Braves. Have a wonderful week, Keith. I hope when we talk next week, Carolina is bowling and we are able to start discussing which one potentially they're headed to. We'll find out soon.
Man, that'd be a lot more fun than talking about getting blown out. So I will say real quick, tonight, Garnet and Black Town Hall, Mike Yuva on Wednesday, Gamecock Central, Augusta Stone with her Stone Cold Takes on Thursday, and then Ben Portnoy to close out the week on our Friday football prediction show.
I like that. The Stone Cold Picks. We should start calling Darren Coldwater.
I used to be ice water when I was playing basketball before I stopped growing and stopped jumping and stopped running, because my job in basketball was to come in when we were winning those few times and hit free throws at the end because I could hit free throws. That was my job. I was really damn good at it, too. I was ice water.
Just bend your knees and shoot, kid. You'll be fine.
I was good. It's still, to this day, if you can't shoot free throws, I have trouble liking you.
Did they hold your hand on the bench before you went in and said the prayer like in Hoosiers?
No. I got ice. I got ice running through the veins. You don't want to hold my hands, right? You got to stay warm until I go out there and finish the job.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Always great being with you guys. I can't tell you how much I enjoy it and appreciate you continuing to have me back on. I mean, it's almost like every day I come home and I'm just happy that my wife hadn't changed the locks on the door. So,
well, if you want to fly her out here, we'll get her a massage at 360 Wellness Studios. So send her this way. Give us an update on the Texas job next week. I'm sure that'll be open before long.
Boy, losing to Kansas.
I'm sure it's fun in Austin right now. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
There you go, Keith Allsep. All right, time for our final timeout. When we return, Mike Morgan pops in right here on the JB and Goldwater Show. Hopefully, you won't ever need legal help for a catastrophic injury or health issues from a medical drug or device. But if you or a loved one suffers injury or loss, Motley Rice LLC is a nationally recognized law firm that is right here in Mount Pleasant at 28 Ridgeside Boulevard. Thank you, Motley Rice, for sponsoring the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show. Visit motleyrice.com for more. motleyrice.com.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right. We take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle, and we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
All right, guys and gals, we all know it's the holiday season and you've opened up your playbook for gift giving. Don't dig too deep because I have the perfect stocking stuffer for your favorite teammate. Gift cards and baskets from 3 Seeds Wellness Studios in West Ashland. Luckily, my wife doesn't listen to our show or she would know what Santa's delivering from the North Pole. Check out 3seedswellnessstudios.com for gift cards and their retail store and have their elves stuff a gift basket full of holiday magic. 3 Seeds Wellness Studios, 3seedswellnessstudios.com to score this holiday season.
You are listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
Okay, 1:36, final segment of the afternoon before Darren's off to spend the rest of his day at the Dog and Duck. You can join him there.
Only about an hour, not the whole rest of the day. I still got to make dinner and stuff.
Oh,
yep.
Okay, well, he'll be drinking by about 2:15 at the Dog and Duck if you'd like to meet him up there over there in Mount Pleasant. The one on
Bell Hall.
Long Point Road. Yeah,
yep.
Bell Hall. Yeah. I'll be ordering DB's cheesesteaks tonight. Mike will be eating. I don't know. You're physically you look pretty good, Mike. What are you eating? Tomatoes and lettuce these days?
No, God, no. Especially when you're on the road, you don't eat like that. I mean, I got to Los Angeles.
Miso soup.
No, I wasn't. I stayed at the Westin by the LAX airport. This is the glorious, glamorous life of travel. Because I flew from Kentucky. I had a basketball game at Kentucky on Friday. I wake up Saturday. I do a cross-country flight. I'm worn out. There's great restaurants in LA, obviously. It's a foodie town, but I have no desire to go anywhere. So I find Uber Eats and order like late-night pasta. And then I find another dessert place, and I ordered a late-night gelato and cannoli combination. That's how healthy my dinner was Saturday night at the Westin LA.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah, it was great. I'm not complaining, but it probably didn't do a whole lot of good on the waistline.
Well, nothing does in the fall, Mike. It's just that time of year.
I know.
Right?
Who cares? No one's going to the beach this time of year, right?
Well, no, that's not true. You probably are. So you're always at the beach.
I wish.
So, but have either of y'all ever had the Evan Williams eggnog, by the way? It's pre-mixed.
No. I'm not a big eggnog guy, but then again, I don't know. Haven't celebrated Christmas most of my life either, so.
That's a fair point.
Darren's Jewish, so yeah, I would try it. It's not eggnoggy. It's not the thick milk. It's not thick like eggnog, like you would think it is. You just pour it over ice. It's dangerous.
I used to love eggnog ice cream.
Really
They still make
I
that?
don't think I've ever had that.
Oh,
How would that
eggnog
be with chocolate, like ice, like Hershey's syrup on top?
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Does
let's do
sound
it.
good.
I'm in.
All right, let's see. Mike, pull up his schedule here. He's got Kentucky basketball on Friday, Georgia football on Saturday. They play Charleston Southern. That should be a win. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
You tell me. I know one thing. They if it comes down to a battle of the coaches, so they're contemporaries. Kirby played at Georgia in the 90s, and Autry Denson played at Notre Dame, all-time leading rusher at Notre Dame in the 90s. So they could just go one-on-one like bull in the ring.
Yeah, he's a super guy.
Gotten to know him well?
I've talked to him a couple of times when I was at the old joint where I used to work over there for. Never mind. He was on my show a couple times, and we talked. And well, you know Jeff Barber, who's AD.
Absolutely, very well.
And so I've talked to Jeff about him a number of times, and he's just ecstatic with what he's doing at CSU. So
yeah.
It's a good combo over there. Jeff Barber, Mike, I wonder, we didn't bring you on to talk about this necessarily, but we will be talking about jobs, surprisingly, probably to you. I wonder how long Jeff Barber will be at Charleston Southern, because Darren knows this. That is a really difficult place to work, to fundraise, to get buy-in, to lure coaches.
Anything, top to bottom, it is a very difficult place to accomplish anything you're trying to do.
Yeah, and he's done it all. I mean, he's done all of that. All the things that CSU could not do, he's done it.
Well, again, I know Jeff from when he was one of the head guys of Gamecock Club fundraising when he was at South Carolina. I've never run into anybody with more presence and acumen in that area. I mean, he's a smooth customer, good, genuinely good person, not disingenuous, like many people in that profession have to be, and just a guy that has big time AD written all over him if he decided to leave. And I know him and his wife are very happy where they are, and Charleston's a great city, as you guys know, but he could easily be doing that at an SEC school. There's no question in my mind.
Yep, I think so. And you never know what jobs will pop up in the SEC over time, and we'll see if he ends up being in the mix for those. All right, so there are jobs popping up elsewhere though, like in the ACC. So Fuente, all right. So Fuente's out. Mike, what about this timing here? There's 2 games left in the season. They beat Duke by 31 points this weekend. Why now? Does that make sense to you?
Not much does make sense to me about a lot of these moves, but to me, the case of Fuente, this has been in the works for a while. So why the timing is what it is, that I have no idea. You could say, well, now we can get a head start on the search. The way these things are done, agents of coaches know what's happening before it's ever made public. So this could have been in the works for months, and they're already talking through various back channels to who they think is going to take over for Virginia Tech. But this was not a move, obviously, based on a win. And even had they lost, it wouldn't have been well, this is just unacceptable, and that's the final. This was in the works. This was going to happen for a while. I think it's a surprise to no one. It is a classic case, and we've seen a lot of this of late. You mentioned what happened at Texas. It is a classic case of a guy who we all thought was a home run hire for that particular school at that particular time. I would have bought stock in Justin Fuente. I applauded the hire.
Yeah.
It's real easy to look back at it now and say, yeah, bad hire, didn't work. But most hires don't. And most quote unquote home run hires swing and miss. That's just the nature of the beast. I mentioned Texas because at some point you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, Charlie Strong failed, Tom Herman failed, Sarkisian off to a miserable start. They've had multiple ADs. Maybe there's something deeper. So I see that at different spots across the country. And every fan base just seems to be so reactionary, and the reaction seems to be fire the coach. And in unique situations, well, it must be the AD's fault. Let's get rid of the AD. And then you just keep spinning your wheels. And you see that the issue is deeper than that. And that is going on in a number of places across the country. Now, specifically Virginia Tech. Look, Frank Beamer did a once in a million type job there. Virginia Tech was never a highly sought after job, and he turned it into a power. But that doesn't mean they're destined to get back to that point. So you get rid of Justin Fuente. I understand the move. You're going to bring somebody else in there. But if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, maybe the reality of the situation is we're never going to be playing for national titles again in our lifetime. It's just, you just don't know. But that's not an easy job. Yes, Lane Stadium's fantastic. The crowd's fantastic. And yes, you are located in a pretty good spot near a lot of talent. Darren, I know you know that well with the Tidewater area, but that by no means is one of these jobs where, oh yeah, it's going to pop again. We just got to get the right guy. It might not pop again to that level.
It's such an having these discussions now, Mike, in 2021 versus having these discussions 2 years ago are fascinatingly different because, Mike, I mean, you and I and everybody else have been under this umbrella our whole lives of it takes 4 or 5 years to get things going. But we all know that this sport has changed and that they don't really allot for that time as much anymore. That's not, I don't know that that's normal now because of the transfer portal and the amount of money that's floating. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but one of them is you have more access to get better players in soon. And you better do it, or
so does everybody else.
Well, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that these schools don't think that the guy that they hire should turn it around quickly. They just do. Like you just said, like we know that everybody else has the same access to the portal that you do, man. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. We should be better in 3 years. That's just the way that everybody thinks now, especially the fans.
That's the way they think, and then reality is a cold bucket of water splashed right on your face, and you realize you're looking up at the same teams you've been looking up at for most of your existence.
That's exactly right. That's where I'm going with this is what is right for Virginia Tech? I mean, what type of coach? This is a winnable division. Is it a proven coach? Is it a guy that's Shane Beamer's not going to Virginia Tech, boys and girls. So is it a guy that's like Shane Beamer that wants to prove himself, like a Marcus Freeman? Is it somebody that needs another chance, like a Joe Moorhead? I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing his name out there, but
or Bill O'Brien,
Gary Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
What's the type? What type of job is this?
The answer to that question in a lot of ways is nobody knows. And if they tell you they know, they're lying. So you mentioned all realistic type of names with disparate backgrounds. You can go with the veteran coach that it didn't work out at one spot, but it certainly could work out at another, or the young up and comer. And every AD faces that kind of binary choice that you have to make. And then within that subset, then you have to make the choice of who's the best in that group. And in both cases, you could be right or you could be wrong, and it's just a gamble. I'm more convinced now than ever that so much of the work that ADs do hiring coaches, it's a lot of what I would call educated guesswork. No more than the guy at the craps table or the blackjack table. Yeah, he knows not to hit on 16, but he doesn't know what cards are going to be dealt, and he doesn't know whether you're not counting cards, you're not Rain Man, and you know exactly how many face cards have been dealt. Like you're not beating the system, and so it's calculated gambles. It's calculated gambles. I think a lot of LSU fans are going to be disappointed to find out that LSU, which is clearly a marquee job, one of the best out there, you and I could be the AD at LSU and bring in a really good coach, but they're not getting Jimbo Fisher.
No.
I'm convinced they're not getting him. a lot of their fans are convinced they are getting him. Why? Because they have an AD who swings to the fences and has always gotten big names. Jimbo's not leaving, folks. So now what? What if you go after Lane Kiffin, which is a calculated gamble in itself? And what if he says no? What if he wants to change his image and not just jump at the next job opportunity that comes along and do another, short stint at a spot and then have to rehab that image and then be on the hot seat in 3 years if they don't win a national title? Then what? Like, that's LSU. Now trickle it down to Virginia Tech. Trickle it down to Texas Tech, who already made a hire, which is based almost entirely on recruiting. Trickle it down to Washington State. Heck, trickle it down to Southern Cal. Like, it's a whole lot of you think you know, but you don't know.
Do you think LSU and Virginia Tech will be in the same pool of coaches fishing in the same pool, same names?
Well, if they are, LSU is going to win out on that one. I mean, unless somebody just really, really, really loves Blacksburg. Yeah. LSU is certainly a better job at this point. Now it's a more stressful job. Nobody, you don't have to win a national title at Virginia Tech to keep your job. You do at LSU,
right?
But the resources, the kind of players you're going to get, it's not the same job.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just, like you say often around here, Mike, we come up with these hypothetical, I say we, not we as in us, but the world, the country, Twitter, the national media, ranking the top jobs and this, that, and the other. And, the top job to Lincoln Riley might be a lot different from the top job to Jimbo Fisher or to some other coach. I mean, you just mentioned a bunch of different reasons as to why I personally probably would not want to be the coach at LSU, because in 2 years, if I haven't won 12 games or more, they're probably firing me, or every day I have to live my life like I could be fired. It's not going to be the case at Virginia Tech. If I go out and win 7 games, 8 games next couple of years and slowly build my way in the right direction.
That's right. That's right.
And you make money. A lot more than we're making now.
But I think most of these elite coaches, they feel like if you give me that kind of talent that I'm going to get at LSU and you give me those kind of resources, I am going to bring it home. So that temptress is too much to say no, even with the added pressure. Whereas a lot of these other jobs, they look at it and they say, for 100 years, you haven't been good. Why, as much as I believe in my ability, why do I really think that I'm going to be different and I'm going to win a national title at a place that's never won one, or I'm going to win an SEC title at a school that hadn't won one in 50 years? Like, you got to be confident in your ability, but also smart about it when you're a coach. I think all those things are weighed.
When Jamie was asking that question, and your answer kind of goes back into what was in my head then. The odds with the resources given at LSU, the odds to compete, I'm not saying win because that's going to be hard, but to compete for a national championship, and the odds at Virginia Tech to get that program to a point where you're not on the hot seat in 3 or 4 years, are they comparable odds?
I think the odds of getting on the hot seat at LSU are quicker than at Virginia Tech, because there's just very few programs in America that expect you to win a national title within your first 3 years. LSU has that. Alabama has that. I don't know who else has that.
Yeah.
But that is a real thing in Baton Rouge. Whereas at Virginia Tech, I mean, Justin Fuente is not getting fired because he didn't win a national title. Justin Fuente is getting fired because they have basically been mired in the middle of the pack in the ACC, and that's not a great league the last couple of years. So, like, you can finish second to Clemson, and Justin Fuente still has a job, but you can't finish 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place in the league and still have a job in Blacksburg.
Yeah. So what I was saying is the odds of getting yourself to that point in Blacksburg where you're competing for the ACC, you're around that mix, and the odds, because of the resources and the fact that it is a better job at LSU, of competing for that national championship in that window. I mean, I feel like they're both in the same ballpark, right? I mean, if I'm a confident coach, I can get Virginia Tech to that point. And if I'm at LSU, of course I'm going to believe I can go win a national championship.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's a great question. I mean, if the money was the same, like they're both paying me $8 million, and I don't think it's going to be the same, but let's just say they're both going to pay me $8 million. I'd rather go for the gusto and try to win a national title than going for the gusto at Virginia Tech is likely going to be getting to an ACC championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody want to take the bet that whoever gets that job in the next 10 years, Virginia Tech makes a 4-team playoff or even a 12-team playoff? How about that for a bet? Does Virginia Tech finish in the top 12 in the next 10 years, regardless of who gets the job?
I'll say yes.
Okay, fair enough. I would likely bet the under on that and take the field, if you will.
Yep.
Well, but the question isn't about 12; it's about 4. And
they ain't making 4, so let's not even. That's not even a fun wager.
Yeah, no, but that's my point. Is if you're comparing those two, which is the playoff is probably going to 12.
Correct.
Then you're going to be you're going to be much more open to consideration. Somebody, maybe the candidate might change a little bit differently in your mind if you have a chance to get into a 12-team playoff, which is going to be the case everywhere, Mike, with all these hires. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I mean, from 4 to 12.
Well,
a lot of people think they can be there.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping subjects, but let's say it's 12 tomorrow. I mean, is the ACC ever going to get more than 2 teams in a 12-team playoff? Maybe on a rare year they get 3.
At this rate, no.
But
at this rate, they're not getting 1.
Well, I mean, conservatively speaking, let's say they get 2, and Clemson is going to be one of those more often than not, and then at some point, Florida State, Miami, who just fired their AD for reasons unknown to anybody.
But I think that's where I was going with this. I think like Miami, that's the perfect one here. Just like Virginia Tech, they're like, whoa, got this AD last week saying Manny Diaz is going to be our coach long term. Okay, get rid of this idiot. We're going to go get rid of Manny Diaz. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what they're thinking. This playoff's going to 12 teams. There's no reason that Miami football should not be knocking on the door of this thing or in it every year. And I think that's what Virginia Tech thinks and all these teams. That's where they're starting to go mentally.
You can go there mentally, but again, reality is a cold bucket of ice water that falls on a lot of faces.
Of gold water.
Ice cold water.
Ice cold gold water. That sounds strange on the surface.
I didn't get any sleep last night, man. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know. If I had gold water, we'd have a better bank account. I know that much.
Yeah, no kidding.
So who's in the top 4 tonight, Mike? How did it change from last week?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't even given it a thought. I just don't get excited about this show because I know what it is. But it's going to be Georgia 1. It's going to be Bama 2. Ohio State, and then and then we'll all argue about Cincinnati not being in. Oklahoma just blew their chance. How many teams realistically are even left?
Yeah, no, not any.
Here's a question I got for you guys that I'm going to be posing on our broadcast Saturday. So if Georgia keeps doing what they're doing and then they go to Atlanta and they lose by 2 touchdowns to Alabama, is there any scenario where Georgia does not get in?
No. There isn't one.
No?
Nope.
Yeah. Well,
not one. Every other team in college football has had a question mark from literally probably the 2nd or 3rd week of the season. Georgia has not had one question mark from the day that they beat Clemson.
If they get blown out, and Notre Dame, by the way, is a team that we did not just mention, but is still technically left.
Right.
And I've mentioned them the last couple of weeks.
You absolutely have. We just didn't right there.
Yeah.
So I think it would take a Georgia complete blowout and everything else going right. I lean Jamie's way. I think the odds are tiny. But is it impossible that they get left out if they get blown out? No, not at all.
Okay. Just throwing it out there.
They don't have, outside of the win over Clemson to start the season, there is nothing that they have done on their schedule that is even close. I mean, they haven't been in a game in the third or fourth quarter, guys. I mean, this is
nobody can score on them.
Yep.
No,
their defense is revolutionary good. Like we're not going to see this again for a few years.
Mm-hmm. They hurt you. Like they take your soul. They hurt you.
They do. You can't block them up front, so they never have to blitz. They can just send 4 and you can't handle it. And then they got 7 guys back there running 4-3-9s that you're trying to either run against or throw against.
Yeah, Mike, I think the only way that they're even being considered to not be in the playoff with one loss is if one of those losses, it ain't coming this weekend against CSU. If it comes against Georgia Tech, which isn't going to happen because they've totally collapsed here down the stretch, but they'd have to lose to a bad Georgia Tech team to even be considered not potentially being in this.
Yeah, no, that would be a problem if they lose to Georgia Tech. That would definitely be a problem, but that's not happening.
There's no chance. I mean, if I asked you today to rank 1 through 4, and you can put as big of a gap as you want between 1, 2, 3, and 4, how big of a gap are you putting between 1 and 2 right now?
Well, I got to tell you, I've seen this movie too many times. Alabama could beat Georgia.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
They could beat Georgia.
With that. I'm just saying, like right now, the full body of work.
Yeah, I get it. The resume, if we're doing the resume test, but the eye test, the Vegas test, when that game happens in Atlanta, how much you want to bet the point spread is within 7?
I bet it's
I bet
less
a
than
ton of
that.
money. I bet a ton of money.
I thought I saw this weekend if they played today, it was like Georgia's favored by 2.5 or something.
Yeah, field goal game.
Yeah,
that tells you all. Like Alabama, disappointing loss at A&M. That's undeniable. But I've watched Alabama teams down double digits at half, 3 consecutive games against Georgia, come back and win and take the mighty soul of Dog Nation. Like, I would not throw that possibility out the window. And any educated Georgia fan is not throwing it out the window. That is a game that keeps them up late at night.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in dismissing Nick Saban football teams. I think that's a pretty poor move.
Yeah.
You've never, I don't know, been around the sport if that's something you think you can do. But I will say this, man, Bama, and I know we're a little past 2:00 hour, Mike, and you've got you probably got.
Oh, I'm good. I'm waiting on food to be delivered. So.
Oh, shocker!
I had no desire to cook anything today.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, you know, Bama's loss is not a bad loss. All right, it's not. We all know that at A&M is not a bad loss. And then these last couple of games here. You know, Arkansas is a good football team, and this is going to be – that's a good game for the resume, even though it's at home. And then regardless of what happens between Auburn and South Carolina this weekend, Mike, even with Bo Nix being out for the year, going to Auburn and beating the Tigers is a resume game. So, you know, I guess what I'm getting to here is that Alabama is probably firmly – number 2, right?
Yes.
Behind Georgia.
I
okay.
guess so.
Yeah. And they have been for a while. That's I don't think that
have been for a while. Have been for a while. We're looking at the resume here, you know, firmly number 2. Even though Ohio State's starting to play their best football, so we got to keep an eye on those guys. But I'm gonna throw something at y'all, and I'm pretty sure I know where Darren's going first with this, but just think about it, and we'll come back. We'll address it next week. What if they play a hell of an SEC title game and Bama loses by a field goal and they've got 2 losses? Should they be in there or not?
Oh, God.
Depends on what happens around them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the
true.
obvious answer. I mean, they'll be hell to pay if a 2-loss Bama leapfrogs 1-loss Power 5 teams, particularly a 1-loss Power 5 conference champion. I've heard a number of people say, "Oh, no way, no chance, no how." I don't necessarily agree with that. I
don't
think
either.
I think there's a pathway still for Alabama if that happened and it was a really close game and the other team there's some other upsets and whatnot. Wouldn't rule it out, but there's such a backlash. You hear it all the time, SEC bias and this and that. And gosh, if you took a 2-loss Bama team over an undefeated Cincinnati team, I think the Group 5 world would implode right in front of our eyes. It would just be like
I think
the Death Star at the end of Star Wars when the missile came. Like that's what happened.
Mike, I don't think it'd be the Group of 5. I think it'd be everybody in the sport except for the SEC guys.
Yeah, because Cincinnati's a lovable story, and I mean, you essentially would be saying the Group 5 has no chance of ever making a 14 playoff, which I don't believe it does anyway.
Exactly.
And then you'd have to get to 12 and whatnot. But yeah, no, there'd be hell to pay from that standpoint, but I wouldn't say it's impossible.
I'll be interested to see. I always like what you say every year, Mike, around this time. It's going to take care of itself. We'll see what it looks like at the end. But watch out for the Buckeyes. Here they come. Here they come.
Yeah. Now I say it takes care of itself, but I don't say that meaning the committee always gets it right. Because for 20 years I watched the BCS and people would say it'll take care of itself. One will play two. But that was very arbitrary, and very often I thought it was wrong and unfair. 4 makes it less wrong and less unfair, but I still don't think this is the best way to determine a national champion. When we cast a wider net and get to 12, and with all due respect to Mike Oresco, the American, who's sitting there and fighting the good fight not to, which I just for the life of me, I don't understand why. Like, you've got no shot with a 14 playoff. With a 12-team playoff, you have a shot and probably will make more money. Sign on the dotted line. Like, how could you not?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you're losing all your best franchises to other leagues. I think it's going to happen eventually.
If you look at it, if you had a 12-team playoff this year, you're definitely getting one in, and there's a likelihood you get 2 in if Houston keeps doing what they're doing. So
yeah, how could you not be for that?
That doesn't.
I mean, I understand what his argument is. Well, we can't have guaranteed Power 5 conference slots. That's what he's saying. As I understood it, the theory or the format was the top 6 conference champions and the top 6 at large. So if somehow the American is one of the top 6 conference champions, then you get in.
Exactly. What do you?
And if you're not, you get 6 at large shots.
Yeah, dude. What are you doing? Shut up.
I don't know.
You got to wonder what the presidents of all these schools are thinking. Like, dude, shut up. Don't say another word. Sign. By the way, though, I want to throw this out there, Darren. You and I are going to push the narrative next week. Cincinnati better be careful with East Carolina the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They can lose that game to Mike Houston and the Pirates, who are playing really good football right now.
The way Cincinnati's playing right now, they could lose any game. You just don't know.
I might pre-pick that upset just to give Mike Houston some juice. I like Mike Houston, man. I really do. Anyways, all right. Mike, what'd you order for lunch?
I went healthy because I felt guilty after our conversation. I did a place called Fruitables, where it's like fruit and grains and all in a bowl, low fat.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tried to go healthy for lunch.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I think I'm going to go downstairs and eat an orange after this.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, when you had what I had in LA, I forgot to mention the late night pizza crusade. I don't think I had one healthy piece of food in me during that trip. But that's life on the road, as you know it. But you're wearing your Iron Tribe shirt. Are you a member of a gym now? What's going on there?
Oh, hell no. When I worked at ESPN, they gave me this to promote them on the air, and I went to one workout, and I threw up. I said, I ain't coming back and do this crap anymore. They wanted me there at like 6 a.m. I was like, dude, no.
Well, my wife does that, and bless her heart, she's much better looking than me, so it pays off. Like, she does CrossFit, and she is like, she leads the way.
Yeah.
And I'm not that I'm not that person.
No.
I'll say this because I don't ever pat myself on the back for this. I have not missed a single weekday in the gym in almost 3 months.
Is that right?
What are you
doing in there?
Just kicking back. They got these massage chairs. You can just, like, I mean, I'm just walking to the gym.
Is this Planet Fitness? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Okay.
I walk because I'm firmly against running. So I walk to warm up, and then I do like a full body lift, and I'm out of there in an hour every day.
Okay. There you go. You've inspired me.
Donut, anyone? Donut? No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Darren, I'm sorry. Mike and I we always we're on the same wavelength here.
Well, what do you guys do? Do you eat lunch before this show or after?
I eat lunch when I get back from the gym. So I have a big turkey sandwich after the gym and before the show.
Yeah.
After the gym and before. Okay. Jamie?
Yeah, I'm a 2 cup of coffee guy in the morning, and I stretch that out for a while. And here and there, I might nibble on something, but I generally wait till after the show and grab a little snack. I can't get a full stomach and then talk for 2 hours. I
can't
have any
either.
energy.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I can't.
I'd rather not eat anything.
Yeah, I can't eat a huge meal. Like in the old days, if I was just covering a game in the press box, I'd go to the trough like the rest of the reporters, right? You're like, man, free meal. But when you're about to talk for 3.5 hours, not talk really, I mean, truly announce, I can't do it. So I just have a snack, and then I'm starving when we get done, and then you're ready to just throw down.
Dude, you feel if you eat a big meal, you know how this is. You eat a big meal before you get behind the microphone. I just feel checked out.
Yeah,
I don't have the energy. I don't know what it is. But when I covered the Greenville Regional, when Carolina played Marquette and Duke, and what year was that? 17 up there.
5 years ago, 16, wasn't it?
No,
you're right. 17, because this will be the 5-year anniversary of the Final Four team.
Oh God. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know. I hadn't done this a whole lot. I'd only done a couple of things, actually, like kind of what you want to covering it with credentials and all that. And those were places that I really knew inside and out. I'd never been underneath Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, and I didn't know the ins and outs. So I knew a lot of the media guys, obviously. And but I didn't want to be embarrassed by asking where was the food. So I just kind of moseyed around, and I eventually thought, after looking around for about a half hour, that they just weren't feeding the media for some off-the-wall reason the first day that I was there. So I didn't eat. And I went out, and I was sitting there courtside, and I kept seeing people come out, and I was like, what the hell's going on? So I went in and looked, and I found it. And I did not let it go from there, man. I ate everything that they offered for the next 3 days. I mean, literally, people were like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Didn't care. I ate the whole, every sandwich, every donut, every snack.
Keeping the stereotype in check of media members throughout the country.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was totally living the dream. I was that guy, and there's no question. Mike, we've kept you for 15 minutes too long.
The sun is like, gosh, it just it's like an eclipse happening in my little box here on your show for those streaming it. But I'm not melting. I'm just being bombarded by the sun.
Well, it's all right. As they say, the sun never sets on a badass. So congratulations. You were in that.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt with that on it.
Hadn't heard that, but I'll go with it.
I like that. Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's what we're working with around here. Well, I'm gonna go downstairs and grab one of those little snacks I was telling you about.
Good deal.
Mike, let's see. Safe travels to Kentucky. You're going to Lexington.
Yep, Thursday.
And then on the road to Athens, which is only about an hour from where you are. So you're going around your ass to get to your elbow.
I am. I'm driving 6.5 hours in the middle of the night to get from Lexington to Athens.
Well, good luck. And
it's all good. We'll be ready to go.
Life on the road.
Let's see. To quote
Dumb and Dumber.
To quote Roadhouse, who's the guy with the big raspy voice? Elliot.
Ed Orgeron.
No, the actor.
I don't know.
And Roadhouse, not Swayze, but the other guy.
Yeah,
I can't. I'm talking. Anyway, he goes, Doc, I'll get plenty of sleep when I'm dead.
He was wasn't he also the coach in what's that movie? I can't think of his name now.
No, I can't believe you guys are not with me on this.
I've never
Roadhouse
seen
is an
Roadhouse.
American classic. You've never seen Roadhouse?
You've never seen Roadhouse? Well, now wait a second here. That's not. I've seen
an
Roadhouse.
intervention.
No, I don't. I'm telling the movie thing. You go down that road, you're likely to miss with me. Likely to miss. I'm busy hanging out in the massage chairs in the gym.
Apparently so.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Thank you. Gosh, that would.
Yeah, but he was also a coach and was the movie, and I can't think of it.
I can't imagine Sam Elliott playing a coach.
Pretty sure he was.
Now there's a badass. Sam Elliott's a badass.
Yeah.
He's just a flat out badass.
Yeah. Have you been watching Yellowstone?
Yep.
No, because I'm going to binge on it. So there are like 3 shows I need to binge on.
But
Yellowstone,
you've
Succession.
seen the first 3 seasons of Yellowstone,
Yes.
right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best shows on television.
Maybe the best show. It's.
I wouldn't fight that. Yeah, I wouldn't fight that.
My wife got mad at me the other night because I told her I thought it was I might have overtaken my Sons of Anarchy obsession. She said, "No way." I said, "I don't know."
Yeah. No, it's awfully good. The new Narcos is out. Narcos Mexico.
Yeah,
I missed
on
that.
Netflix. I want to watch that. Succession. Eventually, we're going to have another Ozark season. I think January. I'm all in on that.
Yep.
That'll be the final year of that show. So I've been watching nothing, but I'm going to be armed and ready when I've got some downtime to just sit on that couch and let her rip.
Nice. Thank you, Will. He was in Draft Day. I knew he was in a football movie.
Sam Elliott was in Draft Day.
He was his brother. He was Kevin Costner's brother in Draft Day.
Okay, but he wasn't a coach.
Yeah, I know. I was. Come on, man.
All right, fair enough. I just can't see Sam Elliott on the sideline like, I think we ought to go with a fake punt here. I'm a big believer in a fake punt when we're in plus territory.
Hey, how do you we just sat here and shot the breeze for the last 30 minutes. How do you and JC actually do a podcast every week without rambling off?
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're doing one tomorrow. I missed out last week. It's totally my fault. I just got overrun with my schedule. And now we've got Michael Haney kind of serving as our pseudo producer on that, which has given us a little more structure. Because to answer your question, we've done our next episode will be 150. We've done 149 of these things, and literally there is no pre-production meeting. We don't come up with a list. I mean, we just turn on the mics and we go. And I think we could use a little more structure, quite frankly, but sometimes that is fun to just do that and just go. And of course we've had a lot of guests. That's the only structure that we've used, but yeah, we both are kind of simpatico on what the stories of the day are, story of the week, whatever, and we just kind of roll with it. And yeah, sometimes we get into a rabbit hole that we struggle to get out of. And I have to be like, okay, all right, enough on the history of Arkansas coaches. Let's get back on track here,
JC.
But it's easy to do, you know. We all just love college football so much, and I think we have a strong enough knowledge where we can go into any corner and have some thoughts on it, and then you find yourself struggling to get out of that corner and get back to the middle. So hopefully, with Michael's help, we'll do that now.
Yeah, dude, he is the man. I told you when did we talk, Mike, last week or whatever. I love Michael Haney, and it's weird because I'm pretty sure y'all worked together before, right? You might know each other.
I hired
a little
him.
bit.
I mean, he was
right.
He was in the upstate working for some station, and I said, "Look, I need a producer, and I heard a couple good things about you." And we need you to do some on air and a lot of behind the scenes and organizing the show. And I know it was a great opportunity. He was in his early 20s. I know he wanted it, but in typical Michael fashion, he's like, "Yeah, it sounds good. I think I'll do that." Like Michael's not giving you like a jump for joy. Like, this is a great opportunity, but he wanted it. He took it. He did it extremely well. And then when I moved on, he's kept doing it there at 107.5 and now he's pursuing his dreams in Nashville on the music side.
He's doing a great job, man. I love when I guess I'll see him next week. I think he's coming down I need to text him for the Carolina Clemson game for Patrick's show.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll see him there. I just got to figure this out.
Yes.
He's good people. Last time I saw him at a Patrick show, he was like, "Here, you want one of these hats?" I said, "Sure." I was like, "Man, I kind of like that one." He goes, "Just take it."
Just take it.
I said, Mike, do you think we should clear that with PD first or no? No. Okay. All right.
Now your show is a 2-hour show, so we're at 2:20 now.
Technically.
we don't have anything else to do.
You might as well make a 3-hour show out of this thing if you're going to keep going this long.
Yeah. Well, now the Share Healthcare chat lines are lighting up again. You got Jamie and Steven and RB and all these guys who want to talk about movie stuff.
Oh, I could do that all day.
I could too. Jamie, yes, I will be watching 1883. I can't wait for 1883. It's going to be great. All right, Michael, on that note, we'll let you run.
All right, guys.
Have safe travels this week. You get hoops and football, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good. Appreciate the time.
See you,
buddy. Thank you. There you go. Mic'd up with Mike Morgan forever. What movie is that from?
I don't know.
The Sandlot.
Oh. I'm telling you, you can throw movie stuff at me all day long, and I'm going to miss 95% of them.
I'm going to throw this at you. Listen, boys and girls, 3C's Wellness Studios in Charleston. If you're here, trust me. Take care of your Christmas stuff now. They'll literally make a gift basket for you. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. Go to the website, 3C's Wellness Studio. Pass it on to your friends. Tell them you heard about it here. All right. Now I definitely need a drink. Got to go. Thanks to Keith Allsep, Mike Morgan, Darren Goldwater, and all of you. JC joins us tomorrow. We're back at noon on the JB and Goldwater Show, presented by Motley Rice, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.